What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tire Chatter. I'm your host, Christian Coppola. Yesterday, we talked about the Dreyer and Reinbold acquisition of the third Rahal Letterman Lanigan charter and what that meant for the future of both teams, as Dreyer and Reinbold announced that they're going full-time next year, and Rahal Letterman Lanigan is downsizing from 3 teams to 2. Today, we're going to switch over to NASCAR, and we're going to talk a little bit more about not literal news, since it's kind of a dry day on that end. We're going to talk some speculatory, silly season sort of rumors and what's going on right now. So recently, Row Motorsports came out and talked about how they're going to work on an extension with Noah Gragson and how they are working on their last steps towards making that happen. And it got me thinking about Layne Riggs and his future and what exactly that means, and if there's a discussion to be had about the direction that Row Motorsports is going in. So let's discuss that a little bit. So Noah Gragson so far has really struggled in the Ford car, not just this year, but since joining the team last year, right? I have his stats written down here comparing him to the other 2 teammates in the Row Motorsports stable with Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith. First of all, Zane Smith has competed for wins a couple times with 2 top 5s on the year, and Todd Gilliland is currently a finalist for the in-season tournament going against Ryan Blaney. Noah Gragson has had nowhere near the success of those 2. Zane Smith has 2 top 5s. The rest of the team has none. Noah Gragson is last in top 10s with 1, compared to 2 for Gilliland and 6 for Zane Smith. He's also last in laps led, last in the championship, last in average start, as well as average finish among those 3 drivers. So it's really interesting to think about where the future lies with Noah Gragson, but it clearly seems as if the trust is there if they're working on an extension right now. Noah Gragson, we always knew, was this highly touted young driver coming through the Kyle Busch Motorsports stable. When he moved over to Junior Motorsports, he continued his winning ways, but ever since he got to the Cup Series, it's kind of stopped and stayed stagnant, and he's really struggled to adjust to the car, whether it be the next-gen car, whether it be the last-generation car. He hasn't really been doing the greatest in that regard. Taking a look at his stats since he joined Row Motorsports last year, he only has 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, 9 laps led across the last 2 seasons. He finished 34th in points last year, so that's what already got me on got him on my radar as someone that might have had a short future with Row Motorsports had he put up a year similar to that again this year, and he's just about doing that this year. He's improved a little bit in terms of points position in 31st, but every other stat he's pretty much gotten worse. His average start is worse, even his average finish is down a slight bit, but it's still down. And it still resulted in him being 31st in the points. So at this point, you got to start thinking, what does his future look like with the team? And it wouldn't look really in trouble if it wasn't for Layne Riggs doing what he's doing this year in the Truck Series. Layne Riggs has absolutely been tearing it up. It looks like it's going to be a fist fight between him and Caden Honeycutt for the title this year. Taking a look at Layne Riggs' stats this year for the Truck Series, he has 4 wins, 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 294 laps led. He leads the points, has an 11.1 average start and a 10.5 average finish with 2 poles so far in the year. He leads the Truck Series in laps led, obviously the points, and has the most wins of anybody on the circuit. So it's clear that he's one of those up-and-coming drivers. He's one of the top talents, one of the top prospects at the moment in the lower series at the moment. And with that natural progression that there is with Row Motorsports, you got to figure sooner rather than later he's going to want to move up into the Cup Series, and the avenue, the pathway is right there for him to take one of those Row Motorsports cars. Likely the 4 I was thinking he could do it next year, because he's running out of time. Layne Riggs is 24 years old this year, and I understand the one thing going for Noah Gragson right now is that he has youth on his side. He is 27 years old, so he still has a long way to grow, a long way to develop as a stock car driver. But with 132 Cup starts already under his belt, you start to wonder if he already is showing his full potential at the Cup Series at the moment, which you hope that's not the case, because it's nowhere near what he showed when he was on the lower levels developing as a young driver. But it's a little bit concerning, and you have Layne Riggs now coming through the pipeline at 24 years old. He's got to get up and get out of the Truck Series eventually, otherwise he's going to be another one of those Ben Rhodes type drivers, Ty Majeskis, who are career lower level drivers, Truck Series O'Reilly drivers that never really break through into the upper series. So the avenue is definitely there for him. He's a driver that I think is definitely sought after at the moment. Out of any of the truck drivers, I think he is the most ready for a call-up at the moment. Out of all the full-time drivers, I think Caden Honeycutt's on his way there, but he hasn't really had the continued success in that series to warrant the call-up just yet. So I think it's interesting to really see what's going to happen. If Front Row Motorsports doesn't capitalize on the opportunity now to promote Layne Riggs, will he decide to look elsewhere? Will he? Because there's no doubt he's going to be getting opportunities. There's going to be other teams in the higher series, whether it be O'Reilly or the Cup Series, calling his phone, asking about his potential availability for next year. And if it's blockaded by, if his progression to Front Row Motorsports is blockaded by Noah Gragson, Todd Gilliland, and Zane Smith, he might have to start looking elsewhere. But Front Row Motorsports has a real special talent in the pipeline in Layne Riggs, and they cannot let him go. So it's going to be really interesting to see how both sides approach this. There still remains a lot to be seen. For all we know, this could be Layne Riggs' last year in the Truck Series before he decides to move up. He could decide to wait another year and wait for another opportunity to open up, but I mean, time's ticking. He's got to get moving, otherwise he's going to be staying at the lower series for a long time. So it's going to be, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen this offseason, what's going to happen as the rest of the season unfolds, especially if he wins the truck championship and he continues to win races at the clip that he is, because then there's a real conversation to be held about where his future stands within the Truck Series, within Front Row Motorsports, and if he's going to garner interest from other teams. Because I know for sure, if I was a team that was a non-Ford partner team and I see Layne Riggs having the success that he is, and then I see the news that, oh, Front Row Motorsports is working on a deal with Noah Gragson right now, I would want to try and swoop in and steal Layne Riggs at any possible opportunity. But that's going to do it for this episode of Tire Chatter. I've been your host, Christian Coppola. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you enjoy the content, drop a like. If you're on Instagram, drop a follow. Drop a like if you're on YouTube, or you can subscribe as well. So I'll be posting racing content just about every day, as often as I can, whenever the latest news drops. So make sure you are followed, subscribed, all that with notifications on so that you don't miss another upload. And that'll do it for me, guys. Thank you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day.